Social media continues to drastically change since MySpace's launch in 2003. Some would say it is the first social media platform. It really isn't, but it did open a gateway to the modern-day social media as we know it. This change I talk about with social media can include the displays of the app, redefining privacy statements, and surprisingly, changing the way society uses it. These are only just a few of the exponential options of change that are possible. But what really drives these changes? Well, one might think that maybe they did it just for fun or to refresh. While that might be true for some of the smaller things, the real answer is that the evolution of technology is essential to adapt to society's needs. Social media must follow suit with technological evolution, thus creating change within the apps we use in our daily lives. And at first, it might be a shock to users when Snapchat automatically updates, and they completely reconstruct the main pages of their app. General users seem to dislike the change at first, but eventually they adapt to the change and they embrace it. While it might be annoying to some, it is actually created with the user's best interest in mind. Each update allows for easier access to features the app holds, evidently leading to easier user access. And this is only one example of change for good in social media. This change and embrace of technology is seen constantly as society and technology evolves. This phenomenon can best be explained by the theory of technological determinism. Technological determinism is defined by a quick Google search as a theory that assumes that a society's technology determines the development of its social structure and cultural values. Merritt Rose Smith from Does Technology Drive History expands on the definition of what technological determinism is, and she breaks it into two different views. One such is called a soft view. This soft view, which holds a technological change that drives a social change. One change that can be seen strongly in the evolution is of small businesses. Social media has created some of the best platforms to gain audiences and traction. Over time, social media platforms have evolved their buying and selling options to better fit these owners of small businesses. Facebook created the Facebook Marketplace, where users can buy and sell to others. Instagram has stepped up their posts, allowing businesses accounts to add specific links and prices to exact items and photos. Users see an item they want to purchase, they click the link and buy. There are even dedicated websites to small businesses that choose to not sell on their own site. Etsy is one of these, allowing users to easily start their own shop and gain customers through them. Everything goes through one website, and it makes the shopping and buying process as smooth as possible. Online shoppers benefit from these inventions with social media apps, as it creates a much faster and more pleasant shopping experience. Merritt Rose Smith's example of a soft view can be seen in these changes in small businesses and social media usage. They've allowed for technology to provide an easier access for businesses to gain these happy customers. Thus, technology completely changes the way society shops online. It is a never-ending cycle that technology's changes allow for an easier life for society, and society quickly adapts to this change.
As Jen talked about earlier, social media technology continues to drastically change, with technology evolving year after year and the release of new social media platforms. Cell phones are constantly being released annually with little to no change for previous year's models. New technology continues supporting society's essential needs, but it mainly focuses on what they want. Society has adopted a new attitude towards technology, focusing on what is new, what is the latest, what is popular, and what everybody else is using, rather than actually focusing on the specs and services that the technology provides. The ease of adoption and adaptation to new technology is heavily influenced by advertisements and marketing through coded messages influencing the viewers or decoders' attitude towards their product. As Marshall McLuhan mentions in his book, Understanding Media, subliminal and docile acceptance of media impact has made them prisoners without walls for their human users. We have essentially become our own prisoners of our own inventions and mediums, which were intended for us to control and mitigate, and be put to good use. Giant tech companies such as Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram have much influence towards people's attitudes about different platforms, while controlling society's perception on different technologies with the use of advertisement and popularity. There are literally influencers on different social media sites promoting different businesses and products to their millions of viewers and followers. So essentially, these businesses are promoted through popularity. Society's acceptance towards new technology is almost effortless, and we never really consider how it affects our lives, nor do we even question if these companies are controlling our lives. Advertisers and marketers use certain hints and keys to influence our perceptions of certain products, especially with technology and social media. As Stuart Hall mentioned in his book, production and reception of the television message are not, therefore, identical, but they are related. They are differentiated moments within the totality formed by the social relations of the communicative process as a whole. Thinking about this, we see much of this in today's social media, television, advertisements, and many other forms of communication sources. Companies' advertisers use language and messages that are encoded based off what the creators intend for you to think and want you to believe. As mentioned previously, technologies such as cell phones are released annually with little to no change from previous year's models. As technology gets released, advertisements focus on sending messages to consumers and in order to influence their perceptions on what they need in their life, primarily focusing on marketing what small change in their new product for that year will do for them. A perfect example of this is products like Apple iPhones. Apple annually releases new models of their iPhones with slight technological advancements from previous years. This year's release of the iPhone 12 has slightly changed from last year's iPhone 11. Slight changes such as a bigger screen, a new design, new colors, slight GPU and CPU upgrades, better quality or better camera quality, and better battery life are the little advertisements that they want you to buy. Marketers and advertisements have mastered the art of influencing consumer belief that they must have the newest or the most advanced or the latest technology at the time. Television and much of the media portrayed to use has been coded a certain way in order to spread awareness or influence people's thoughts or perceptions about certain technologies or platforms. Through the use of language, tech companies and businesses are able to influence society's lifestyles and perceptions towards new technology and social media. They essentially are controlling what technology and platforms they want people utilizing while easily influencing their consumers' habits.
Since the beginning of recorded media, meanings have had the ability to be misconstrued. You could take a look at a cave painting your friend drew that looks vaguely like them hunting a boar, but instead take it as an interpretive response to the delicate balance society has placed on the common hunter's head. If you take a look at the night sky, you may see a bull in the stars, but another will see twinkling lights, unable to ascertain anything more. Depending on who is receiving the message, what is actually received could vary completely from what was meant. This everlasting game of telephone exists now today more than ever because of the overwhelming level of communication in our modern society. Anything said can be put into words or images. Thoughts conveyed through pictures do have a substantial impact in communication now, though as if returning to the days of old spent in a cave. These pictures and phrases known as memes are so commonly used, they can spread across a social media platform in a day, become overused, and die within a few days. It can be a bit weird thinking about memes as a complicated means of communication because of their figurative definition of being meta, so talking about them at all seems out of place. Despite that, I believe it's an important idea to consider the impact a meme can have on a community for as long as it does last. A meme usually combines text with an image to either be generically funny or show itself as a relatable point. Simplifying memes to this degree is necessary due to their extraordinarily volatile state and ability to exist as any combo of picture and or words. while they have this overarching and widely extensive audience due to their open-endedness, it works as a perspective-driven form of thought. Though no real point can be driven from many memes, they exist to be interpreted. With Ways of Something by Lorna Mills, the meaning is lost but also found through the brilliant use of technology to create a fever dream of a video. Similar to a meme, this video exhibits how there may be a meaning behind the edits and creations, but is up to the viewer to form it. No meaning in this video is spoon-fed to the viewer, because that would lose some of its purpose, to be odd. Ways of Something and memes have it in common that there may be no form or function to itself, but then again, there may be. It remains up to the viewer, and the viewer alone, to discover and interpret whatever meaning there may be. Memes and works of art like this may, as odd as it is to believe, be the greatest forms of self-expression to exist in today's world. For memes, they can be mass-produced, a new one every day, almost all of which able to be seen through every person's unique eyes. This combination of imagery and human perspective delves deep into human emotion to create a custom-designed impersonation of a person's thoughts and subconscious. One meme could simply be a funny picture to one person, but something to relate to for another. That's the fantastic thing about these funny little insignificant images. They hold so much potential to be the defining mode of communication for the modern person, but are often reduced to a short-lived, purposeless existence. Each meme just fades in and out, without a chance to make an impact. Stepping away from memes for a bit, meaning can be misconstrued in endless ways. So in this seemingly endless void with a lack of anchor, thoughts can come and go like, what's the point of having language at all if I will just be misunderstood? And if language is so formless, how can meaning exist at all? These weirdly existential questions for a conversation that was just talking about memes attempt to point out the weakness in having perspective-based communication. They have quite a few legs to stand on with this view, but it must be remembered that this context-based form of communication is not the entirety of language, and it should not come to replace it. Context-based conversation should only be had when such is appropriate and understandable. If not put in an understandable situation, then obviously the conversation won't make sense and will be derived of any meaning. Solidified meanings have their place in every situation possible. It is just a mere suggestion to include context-based conversation to add a personal flair to it. As with experience versus theory, an example, in social linguistics and literacies, Ideology in Discourses by James G., a person's dialect may sound different to you individually, but it does not make it any less correct. The only considerable change is how the dialect adds the personal flair mentioned before, showing a glimpse into the history of the person. At the end of the day, meaning helps ground communication, but a lack of it also enhances the message through the integration of unique perspectives of the human person. There should always be those anchors of solid meaning to fall back on for language, but it is the same that in speech and conversation does not need to be made solely of these anchors. When looking at the night sky and seeing pictures amongst the stars, as your friend doesn't, it doesn't imply that one of you is correct, but should instead encourage conversation to explore the differences between you.